Today in our 2016 GMC Canyon, we're going to be installing Roadmaster's Diode wiring kit. This diode wiring kit is going to take your turn, stop, and tail lamp signals from your motorhome and allow them to be transmitted back here to the taillights on your vehicle. So you can be DOT compliant in all states when flat towing your vehicle behind your motorhome. This is going to directly send the signals from your motorhome's 7-pole connector back to the taillights on your vehicle. The diodes that are installed on your taillight ensure that the electrical signal can only go to your bulbs and not back to any electrical component inside the vehicle. The diodes act as a one-way check valve for the electrical current, ensuring that doesn't happen. Connect our electrical connection. And our breakaway switch. Now all that's left is to place our vehicle into tow mode and hit the road. For your complete flat tow setup on your 2016 GMC Canyon, we'll be using SMI's Stay and Play Duo Supplemental Braking System, Roadmaster's Direct Connect Base Plate Kit, Roadmaster's Diode Wiring Kit, Roadmaster's Automatic Battery Disconnect, Roadmaster's Stoplight Switch Kit, Roadmaster's Falcon All-Terrain Non-Binding Tow Bars, Roadmaster's 64-inch single hook safety cables, and you may or may not need a high-low adapter. We'll begin our installation here at the front by mounting our electrical connector bracket. Now the fascia is off. The best time to mount your wiring is while you're installing your base plate and you already have the fascia removed. I've mounted a bracket here to give you a location for this connector for our 6-pole connector. The bumper here sits pretty far back, so if you were to mount it directly to that, you would have to reach into your fascia in order to plug your wiring in. So we're using this as an extension to bring it closer to where our fascia is, so we don't have to reach inside of it. You can pick up short brackets here at Etrailer.com. Our bracket mounts easily using the provided hardware. We just take the nuts and bolts and run those through our bracket here to secure it to our other bracket. Now you can use self-tapping screws if you decide to go ahead and just mount it directly to the bumper beam. This bumper beam here is pretty hard though, so it is difficult to get self-tapping screws to thread into it. You can then tighten down our hardware using a Phillips head screwdriver and a 10mm socket. We'll now take the wiring that comes in our kit. You want to slide it through your bracket. Place the rubber seal for the back of your connector over the wiring. We're just going to push that through so we don't forget it. And now we want to take each end of this wiring here and we want to separate each wire. We'll now strip each one back. And we can now connect it to our connector. The connector has labels on the back side, making it easy to ensure you get the correct color in the correct location. We're going to be using the ones labeled GD for ground, which is our white wire, LT for left turn, which is the yellow wire, RT for right turn, which is the green wire, and TM, which is for your taillights, and that is the brown wire. So we've unthreaded all those screws. We're going to take the colors that corresponds with the lettering next to them, push them in, and then screw them back down. If you get any strands that don't go in there, you want to make sure you get them all in there. Because if one strand sticks out, it could potentially touch another one and cause a short. And once it's completed, it'll look like this. Now you can take some dielectric grease, squirt it all around the backside here to keep out any moisture, and slide your rubber seal over it, and then I like to take electrical tape and seal around both the front and back sides. We've got further components we're going to be installing for our complete flat tow setup that will utilize this connector, so I'm not going to be putting that grease and taping this up right now until we get those completed. But if you don't have anything else that you're intending on using this connector for, you can go ahead and do that now. We can then mount our connector into our bracket. Take the hardware that comes in your kit, you want to slide the bolts through, and then secure it with a nut on the other side. And we'll tighten those down with a 10mm wrench and Phillips head screwdriver. Now you'll need to take your wiring and route it back to the rear of the vehicle so we can connect it in line with our taillight assemblies. So we took our wiring, we ran it over here towards our driver's side following the factory wiring, zip tying it along the way. We then went underneath our headlight here where we went up, and we came out next to our washer bottle here. We followed factory wiring again, going back here towards our brake booster. Here we went down, following the factory wiring down. We're now underneath the vehicle on the driver's side. I'm peeling back the wheel well so you can see the wiring. We followed that factory wiring down, and now we just follow that all the way back, staying on top of the frame, routing it behind the body mounts as we go. Again, we just tucked it behind any body mounts that we saw, and we just used that factory wiring to guide ourselves back, because we know the factory wiring is going to be in a location that's not going to come into contact with anything excessively hot like our exhaust or any moving components like our suspension. Once you get near your fuel tank here, we are going to have to come over the frame rail, and we start on the inside here. On the inside of the frame rail, there's factory wiring that we're just going to continue following all the way back behind our spare tire until it comes out here at the back of our bumper. It comes out here on the other side of our spare tire, and then we can just drop it down here behind our bumper. We'll now need to remove our taillight assemblies so we can use this wiring. Now we're back here with our tailgate open. There's 2 screws located on the inside. We'll use a Phillips head bit to remove those. And then you'll want to pull your taillight assembly rearward. I like to use a trim panel tool to help pry the assembly rearward, because it can be difficult to get the tabs to release. They're just some quick release tabs that hold it in. And now we've got those removed, we can go ahead and just take our assemblies, and we're just going to tuck them underneath here to keep them from dangling. And we're going to repeat the same process on the other side. We can now take our wiring at the back of our bumper that we ran. We're going to bring it up to the opening here at the back. Now we'll need to take each wire just like we did at the front, and we want to separate each one. So we're going to snip those and peel them back. Now we'll take our cutters, and we want to separate all of our wires just like we did at the front and peel them back slightly. Just like that. We're going to go ahead and strip back the yellow, the brown, and the white. We're not going to strip the green back just yet. And we're just going to let that sit here for now. It's going to be connected to our taillight assemblies through our diodes. So we're going to have to cut both the orange and gray wire that go to our assemblies here. So we're going to snip both of those, and we want to strip back each end of the orange and gray wire. Now we'll take our diodes that come in our kit. On our driver's side here, we're going to want one that has all blue, and we want the one that has the single yellow. You can go ahead and pull all of those off of your diode. I find it easier to make the connections if you just pull them all off. And we're going to take our four of the blue connectors. We're going to connect those to each exposed wire on our taillight assembly here. So we'll just crimp those on. And then on our wiring that we stripped back here, we'll be using the yellow wire with a single blue connector. And then we're going to take the brown and white wires, and we're going to twist those together and crimp that onto the yellow one. because we're going to be using some of the white wire as a jumper to go over to the other side. And the yellow. We can now connect it to our diodes. The out is always going to go to the bulb side of your taillight assembly. So our gray wire is our turn signal wire. So that will go to the out. Your other gray wire will go to the in, and our yellow wire will also go to the in. Our other diode, same way, the out always goes towards the bulb. The other orange wire goes to the other side, the in, and then our yellow butt connector here is going to go to the other side of the in. Now these have sticky pads on them. You could stick them on the inside here, but I found that if you try and stick them on somewhere, they usually get in the way and your taillight assemblies don't fit properly. So what I usually do is just take the sticky pads and just attach them together. So we're just going to peel the adhesive backing off, because often you're fighting how much space you have available. So we can minimize our space by attaching them like this. We'll now take our green wire and we want to peel that back. This wire is going to be routed to the other side. So for now, we just need to peel off enough to where we can poke it back down, and then we'll begin routing that over. The rest of our wire here, it's a good idea to take a zip tie, and we can go ahead and zip tie our wiring here to keep it from pulling on our connectors. We're now back underneath. We've got our green wire that we had separated. We're going to keep peeling that back until we get to where we kind of had zip tied it there. This is going to go over to the passenger side, and it's going to go up just like we did on the driver's side. We're going to make our connection, but we also need that white wire to go over. So we've got our white wire here coming from our taillight assembly. We want to make sure we have enough to get over to the other side, so we're just going to take it right here where we peeled our green wire back, about the same length. We're going to snip the white wire, and we need to separate out that white wire. So we're just going to give it a little cut right there, and then we can peel that back. And this is all going to go over to our passenger side. I'm going to route it in a way that makes sure we can get over there and not interfere with anything. And now here on our passenger side, we ran it through the same hole with our white and green wire. We made the same cuts on the orange and gray wires on this side, and we connected up the same way. Out always goes towards the bulb. The same color is going to go on the in. And for our passenger side here, our white wire is going to go to the in, that's connected to the orange on the diode, and the green wire is going to connect to an in on the gray wires diode. Once you've made all those connections, you can zip tie everything up back here, clean it up, and reinstall your taillight assemblies. The rest of the white wire that's running up towards your connector that we connected at the front of the vehicle will need to be connected to ground somewhere at that point. I like to use ground studs that are already existing on the vehicle. Your kit does come with a small ring terminal and a self-tapping screw that you can run into the frame anywhere you'd like. But to avoid having to tap into the frame and create any more holes than we need to, I'm going to come up here where our washer bottle is. We're going to snip the white wire here. And then we want to separate out that white wire. We're doing kind of like we did at the back. And then you can pull this white wire. We're just going to pull that down and come out below our headlight assembly. We're going to be connecting it to the ground stud located here. Now the only problem with connecting to this ground stud here is that the ring terminal that comes in your kit is too small to connect to there. So if you don't feel like purchasing a separate ring terminal, which we do have available here at Etrailer.com, you can just use that small ring terminal and a self-tapping screw into any location you'd like. You could even put it right next to it here. But since we plan on using that ground stud and avoiding any unnecessary holes, we're going to strip back the white wire. We're going to place a larger ring terminal on it, which we've got here. Again, you can pick these up here on our website. We're going to crimp that to our white wire. Slide the bolt through our ring terminal and then reattach it. We've now plugged our connector into our tester, and we want to make sure that everything's working properly in the back. You want to make sure you have your taillights, left turn signal, right turn signal, and brake lights. With everything working properly, we can go back and zip tie up any loose wiring that we have, and your installation is complete. And that completes our installation of Roadmaster's Diode wiring kit on our 2016 GMC Canyon.